Hello everyone, I am Hath, one you call Baffled Looking. Welcome to The Beginner's Guide. This is going to be a short series. I don't know how many episodes. Let's see how many I can create until I finish it. I heard the game is about an hour and 30 minutes of experience, but it looks fun and it looks awesome, made by the same person as Stanley Parable. I don't really know what to expect. I'm expecting something kind of like the Stanley Parable, but I saw the trailer and it doesn't seem like it, but I don't know anything. So let's jump right in. Begin the game. Please make sure audio is on. Controls, okay. That does make sense. Okay. No. Oh, I was like,
hi there.
cursor. Oh.
Thank you very much for playing The Beginner's Guide.
Alright.
My name is Davey Reedon. I wrote The Stanley Parable, and while that game tells a pretty absurd story, today I'm going to tell you about a series of events that happened between 2008 and 2011.
Okay.
We're going to look at the games made by a friend of mine named Coda. Now, these games mean a lot to me. I met Coda in early 2009 at a time when I was really struggling with some personal stuff, and his work pointed me in a very powerful direction. I found it to be a good reference point for the kinds of creative works that I wanted to make. So just to start you off, this is, I think, the first game he ever made. It's a level for Counter-Strike. You can walk around here, by the way. And mostly it's just Coda learning the basics of building a 3D environment. But what I like is that even though he starts from the simple aesthetic of a desert town, he then scatters these colorful abstract blobs and impossible floating crates around the level. And of course, it destroys the illusion that this actually is a desert town, and instead this level becomes a kind of calling card from its creator. It's like a reminder that this video game was constructed by a real person. And it kind of makes you wonder, what was going through his head as he was building this? This is what I like about all of Coda's games. I mean, not that they're all fascinating as games, but that they are all going to give us access to their creator. I want us to see past the games themselves. I want to get to know who this human being really is. And that's exactly what we're going to do here. So, it's 2008, Coda starts making these games, and he never releases any of them. He doesn't put them onto the internet, he just makes them and then immediately abandons them, and they sit on his computer forever. And I think he really understood this image of himself as a recluse. At one point, he jokingly renamed his computer's recycling bin to Important Games Folder. So, you know, this was just how he worked. He tended to crank them out one after the other without even really pausing to try to understand what he had just made, until suddenly one day, he just stopped. In 2011, that was it. He made his last game, and then he hasn't made another one since. And that's why I've taken this opportunity to gather all of his work together, is because I find his games powerful and interesting, and I'd like this collection to reach him, to maybe encourage him to start creating again. And if the people like you who play this also happen to find his work interesting, then I'm sure it'll just send that much stronger of a message of encouragement to Coda. So thanks for joining me on this. If you have a particular interpretation that I haven't mentioned here, or if you just need to get in touch, you can email me at daveywreden@gmail.com. Okay, that's about it for introduction. Let's take a look at Coda's first proper game. As each game is loading, I'll show you the date that it was completed. This first one was made in November 2008.
This is interesting. Oh, okay, well, this
game is called Escape from Whisper, and it's one of the more generic games you'll see from Coda.
Okay. I'm going this way. This way seems much cooler. Oh, damn! This is interesting. So this is more of a emotional, powerful story. Okay. Alright, that's really interesting. I like this. I might not be doing as much commentary during these, listening to the narrator, but this is interesting. Oh.
Security call breached. Hostile alien life form inbound.
Bring it! Bring it! Oh,
it kind of looks like this game was abandoned mid-development. For instance, you have this gun, which you'd think would indicate that there are supposed to be monsters or enemies somewhere, but then clearly there are no enemies anywhere.
I can't
You
reload.
can't even reload the gun when you run out of bullets. But ultimately we don't really know. Maybe Coda thought that actually it was complete the way that it is. And I think that we should talk about his games for what they are, rather than for what they're not.
Enemy force neutralized. Begin shield evacuation.
God damn it. Oh, there we go. This is...
I love how you can see the bottom of the universe from this room.
This way, which way am I going? Okay. And look, this is interesting. This is gonna be... I can tell this is gonna be a very interesting experience. Oh,
Apparently
mate.
the space station has a labyrinth on it.
Oh, God.
Sure, I don't know. There's really no reason for it that I've ever been able to discern, so in the interest of time, I'm just gonna skip you on past it.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Okay, this is the
Oh,
part
that's
that's
my gun.
interesting. The game has this narrative about the Whisper Machine and how it has to be turned off, and then you get to the engine room.
Hey, you there, in the engine room. You could save us all. That beam is powering
will.
the Whisper Machine. We could disrupt it by introducing a great enough heat signature. If your body could stop the beam. It's so much to ask, but for all of our lives, would you do it? Could you give yourself?
I would. For the sake of the strange voice that just decided to talk to me.
Let me pause here for a second.
Okay.
What you just experienced, stepping into the beam and then dying, is probably what Coda had initially intended when he was developing this level. But when he first compiles and plays it, something goes wrong. There's a bug somewhere. And this is what happens instead.
Okay, I'm supposed to do it again. Alright. Here we go. I believe I can fly.
The beam causes you to start floating.
I believe
And this
I
is an
can
important
touch
moment for him. Because yes, this is technically a glitch, but Coda identifies something human about it. Like how small it makes you feel in the face of this larger chaotic system. Or this floating could be the afterlife, a peaceful place, juxtaposed against all of the hysteria that you've just had to traverse. I don't even know. I have no idea what he was thinking, but what's clear is that after making this, something lodges itself in his brain. He wants to do more of these really weird and experimental designs. So he stops work on this and moves on to a stream of tiny little games that go in all sorts of directions. Let's go ahead and take a look at the first game he made after leaving this one behind.
This is really interesting. Past was behind her. I can't move. Oh.
Yep, in this game you can only walk backwards.
Oh, that's that mystery. Okay. Oh.
So it's a short and relatively minimalist experiment combining motion and narrative. It is less advanced than the previous game, but actually it seems to be more focused, more complete. Coda's trying to give it a unique voice rather than simply basing it on a pre-existing trope.
This is all really interesting. Coda. Coda, I really appreciate this, whoever you are.
It's a short little thought, it says what it wants to say, and then it ends. Didn't need anything more than that. Which to me is why it works, because it gets out quick. Okay, next one.
I'm gonna turn off my face cam. I don't really see any need for it for this series. Okay. Okay, it's a horror game, I think. Maybe something, so there's nothing beyond this path really. I'm now entering.
And that's it. Okay, the meaning of this game
Okay.
won't be clear just yet. Please be patient, you'll see what makes it interesting.
Sorry about that. Lost about 2 seconds there. Sorry. So, interesting. This is kind of interesting.
Oftentimes, Coda would put bizarre titles like this one at the start of
Nonsense
his
in nearly
games.
every direction.
I wish I'd known him at the time that he was making these early games. He would
Okay.
really only talk to me about his work as he was making it. Once he stopped work on a game, like, that was it. It was dead to him. And I don't agree with that at all, but what are you gonna do?
That's true. What can you do? Am I walking slower? I am.
Once you've been slowed to an absolute crawl, the door at the top of the stairs opens. So why, if Coda's not showing these games to anyone, why bother opening the door at all? Well, to show you, I'm modifying the game here so that when you press enter, it'll bring you back up to full speed so you can enter the door for yourself.
Okay. This is really interesting. Oh.
A room that's warm and nice and filled with little ideas for games. Coda would often tell me that he didn't mind if people thought of him as cold or distant. He said that he knew that he was actually a vibrant and compassionate person, but that it takes time to really see that. It can be a very slow climb to get there.
I honestly don't have any words. This isn't really like me. Ready, set, fish. Honestly, I've been into creating games lately. But this is nothing. I mean, this is, I don't know how to put it.
Well,
This
this
is
is new for
different
Coda.
than what
It's
I've
an
been
actual
doing.
puzzle. Go ahead and see if you can solve it.
I bet. Yay! Puzzle solved? Oh, I better not. Aha!
Don't forget that solution, because we're going to see this puzzle again soon. We're going to see it a lot.
Alright. Oh, is that different? No. This is... Hi! Damn, I don't have any words.
So that seems to be it, right? You walk down a corridor, you solve a puzzle, you get to the end. Simple enough. Alright, now I'm going to modify the game again, so that when you press enter, it'll remove all of the walls from this room.
Okay. Hello. You...
How about that? There was more to it than we had any way of knowing. I actually find it funny that this game comes after the Stairs game, since they essentially convey the opposite idea. So, in the Stairs game, a dull exterior concealed a rich interior. And then, in this level, a dull interior hides this fantastic outer world. Either way, I think that the point is the same, is that most of the time you don't get to know what you're missing, or even that you're missing anything. That's not your role as a player. So if your role here is not to understand, then what is it?
Oh, we're back here. Okay. Wait a sec. Oh.
Aha! So,
Ooh.
this, combined with the entering game from earlier, tells us that Coda believes his games are connected somehow. It could even be that the Stairs game and Puzzle game are literally connected in between this and the entering game. There's a bigger picture that all of his games are meant to play a role in, some larger meaning that we won't be able to grasp until we've seen all of them. And once we have, we can step back and start to understand what exactly that bigger picture is.
Okay. Marked. Great and lovely descent. The house seems interesting.
Let's talk about video game development for a second. Every video game runs on what's called an engine, which determines what the game can and cannot do. So in other words, the engine is a set of tools for game development.
Okay, thank you.
To make all of these games, Coda is using an engine called Source. Like all engines, Source has certain things that it does well, and it has certain things that it does poorly. One of the things that it does very well is boxy linear corridors. That's why so many of Coda's games are set in these large, flat, empty rooms, is just because he's working with what the engine does well.
Okay.
The tools available to the creator shape what kinds of creative work they're going to end up making.
So
You might consider paying attention to the architecture in Coda's games, to notice how they seem to stem from an engine that's very good at producing linear, boxy corridors.
Oh, well, we're falling out. I made a game like this, actually, in the class I'm taking. Now, I assume something is gonna happen when I reach the bottom. In fact, I'm just gonna jump. In fact, there is something. More stairs. I can see the games are getting better as we go through, and more interesting. Oh? Oh, this is like a prison. Do I even want to? I guess I have to. Oh, going up. Didn't even see that there. Oh, not stopping here. Oh, okay.
This prison, funny enough, in Coda's original design, the doors stayed shut for a full hour before letting you go. If you don't mind, I think we're gonna skip that.
Alright. Go back down.
This is something that he and I used to argue about a lot. You know, whether a game ought to actually be playable, whether it means anything if no one can get through it. And I would always defend that, you know, all this work goes into the game, why not make it playable and accessible? And so we just got into heated arguments over it, and there was one time that after one of these conversations, he went home, and a day or two later, he sent me a zip file entitled Playable Games that was full of hundreds of individual games, each of which was just an empty box that you walked around in and nothing else. Believe me, I played every single one of those just to find out if there was like a gag hidden somewhere. There wasn't.
What are you up to, Coda? I appreciate everything you're doing here, but what are you up to?
It's the puzzle again,
Okay.
with the exact same solution as the last time.
Alright.
There's still no clear indication of what makes this puzzle so special that Coda is going to return to it over and over. But I promise I'll share with you my interpretation very shortly.
Okay. This is... I can't really get any words out to describe this game. It's kind of a bad commentary. Oh, I can crouch, I didn't realize. I'm gonna end the episode here. I don't know how much I missed there, I'm sorry if I missed anything. I'm gonna start the next one right here, though. I don't know if you saw my dialogue choices or not, but nothing really happened, I guess. If you liked the video, drop a like below. Subscribe if you very so willfully needed to. And I'll see you next time.